Good evening, everybody. Back to the Strawberry Sundaes podcast. We are joined by the one and only Aromaa. People will know him for dominating the challenges recently. Um, Bit of a deadly player on the sticks.
Yeah, I'm not bad. Yeah, not bad.
How you doing, fella?
I'm doing wonderful. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. We'll jump straight into it. If you want to just give a brief background about yourself,
Yeah.
in case anybody's in the chat that uh, may not know who you are,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Um, Basically, my name's Gabriel. I'm sure as probably the people that will come through will know. I came from a sporting background, ended up getting an injury, sort of fell into competitive COD and whatnot. And yeah, now I'm kind of here just streaming every day. My passion is to compete and whatnot. And if I've also managed to find an alternative from competing in streaming, which has lately been amazing for me and like my mentor as well as anything else. So hopefully I can continue on and hopefully make something of it, I guess.
So what sport were you playing before?
I was
Don't
playing
mind me asking.
football. I was playing
Ah,
football.
football. And what injury did you get?
Well, I had a throughout college, I kind of put my body on a lot of strain and played club football as well as college football, which
Yeah.
the way my college worked, we trained every day, we traveled every Wednesday, and we did a lot in terms of physical preparation and fitness and stuff. And I ended up just working my body to the bone. So I had so many like small muscle injuries, but they all added up and I just played through it instead of. So I had a groin injury, I had a hamstring injury, I had sciatica at some point, which I had to like try and work through as well as playing at the same time, which anyone with an injury before would know is just horrendous. Um, and yeah, and then I ended up doing tendon damage in my. Well, I ended up breaking my big toe, and then I ended up playing through a broken toe on max strength, like non-prescriptive antibiotics and loads of other stuff, and then ended up doing tendon damage and ligament damage to like my foot, and yeah, and then that kind of just chalked things for me, to be honest, because I'd been playing through pain for like like a year to 18 months, and it was so demotivating because
Yeah.
the way it just all was, I just couldn't picture myself like I didn't enjoy it anymore because of like having to play through so many injuries and this and that, and yeah, it just took the fun out of me. It took the fun out of football for me, which is like kind of why I got into competing. Then because I still had this competitive drive, but it was just there was nowhere else to put it. So then when COD came around, it was kind of like, oh well, there is something else that I can do that isn't just football, because football was like my whole life. So
Mm.
I was kind of like, well, what am I going to do now? Like I've finished college, I could either go uni. So I did a gap year in uni, kind of just played COD, and yeah, kind of just fell in this whole world, I guess.
So before that football and that kind of thing, did you play competitive or was it something that you just
No,
kind of
no.
picked
So
up
literally,
afterwards?
as I was in the latter stages of college, I picked up COD. It wasn't nothing serious, wasn't anything like that. But I just thought, oh well, I kind of enjoy this. Like I'm not going to go to uni straight away because my mental was kind of in a really bad spot at that time anyway, and I wasn't fit to go to uni at all mentally. So I kind of just put it off. I went, I'm going to try Call of Duty here and see what it's like. I ended up traveling to America twice that year and was like, I really enjoy this. Like I was part of a team that should have got to the last champs last year, but we kind of choked. So the last ever Call of Duty champs should have got to. So I was like, I can pursue this here,
Mm.
and that was kind of the realization that there might be like something there for me within COD, and that was
Yeah,
like before I even started even thinking about streaming or anything like that. So
I think you said it there. As soon as you get that opportunity, you get the cut sort of like drive for it. You get the you wanna progress. You get that motivation when you're
yeah,
like, yeah, this is for me now. This is really what I want to do.
yep.
And I mean, your team in general have been pretty dominant. And if I'm correct, pretty much one of the only teams that just hasn't been like roster changing every 2 weeks.
I mean,
Like,
yeah. So it was me, James, well, me, Genesis, Niall, and Disarray for like a while,
mm,
and we tried to work through it or whatever. But and then I've managed to find myself with Genesis again, but with Pete and Brezzy, and it was amongst like all of the Rostermania stuff that we managed to just like put together a team or whatever. And I mean, to be as good as we were in the short space of time which we were, because the first week of our elite wasn't great. Like we didn't play great at all, and then all of a sudden, like over that weekend, we got third in that cup, and then went straight into the elite and like won 2 of the 3 games that we needed to like get through to the playoffs, and then the playoffs weren't even close. The games that we played, but like we played August and we played them so close, we could have arguably won that series.
Mm.
But yeah, and then we've just found ourselves kind of at fourth in the playoff bracket, and we have like so much to improve on that it's like the potential's there. But yeah, like you said, I haven't been part of many roster changes throughout this whole year.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of people, it's not something that I'm totally like, I'm not the most knowledgeable.
Yeah,
But I kind of know who like the sort of the big players are, but I only know really the bigger players through like streaming and that
yeah,
side of things, because especially from like a spectator point of view, there's not many people that actually stream. One of them is
yeah.
obviously yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which you've seen like unreal support from people obviously coming in your streams, especially on like on a Saturday and a championship Sunday when you get through. Um, I think that's kind of what the amateur scene is lacking. I think that we do need more people like yourself just giving us something to watch,
Yep,
because someone like myself, I'm not too bothered about competing. I know I'm not the best player, but I quite like enjoying,
yep,
especially the challenger side of things, watching people go through the run, and then so it's enjoyable to watch, especially for a viewer.
yep, 100%.
Um, and like you say, you're one of, I don't think anyone within the top teams actually streams it except you. I know is Eric Boom. I don't know if
Yep,
he
Eric does
he
stream. Yep,
still he still streams, but
yep, Eric does stream.
apart from that, you've got yourself, and that's it. And it
Yeah,
really boggles my mind.
I mean, Bids used to do it. He did a lot in MW, which is where he got a lot of success from his streaming and stuff, especially when they went over to America, and they stayed over in America for a while because they dominated NA challenges as well. But ever since Luke kind of came back and the whole S&G thing fell apart, I can tell that his motivation for streaming wasn't there compared to what
Yeah,
mine is. Like, I feel like he's gone through that period of streaming all of his tournaments, streaming all of his scrims and all the stuff like that, and I feel like that's where I'm at. But
yeah,
obviously, his streaming stuff, he's solely focused on competing, like at the minute, and I've spoken to him about it. And yeah, he's just solely focused on competing and winning and stuff. I mean, he finished second in the playoffs. But yeah, I think Whalers used to stream as well. But this is what I've said it on stream many a time. The fact that there's not many things now because people are starting to get the internet capacity to stream and play at the same time. I'm lucky enough that I've managed to wangle my other router in the house that's not mine. It's my parents. I managed to wangle that so I can stream. But people are now getting fiber and within their
mm,
area, and they're getting these. That's not an excuse anymore. Like I can 100% understand that people in my situation where they probably don't have the internet capacity to do both and compete and do what they need to do. But there's a lot of people out there with sufficient hardware, sufficient internet, sufficient anything where they could literally just stream their POV and have their voice on it at a minimum. And
yeah,
I can guarantee that they would see their stream and their platform grow immensely. Because, like you said, apart from me, Luke, and Whalers, and Eric, to be fair, I think a couple of the other Spanish people do, but Eric usually gets most of the viewership. Like, not many other people stream. Like the House Tarth team, like when it was Defrag, Weeman, Gizmo, and Afro, none of them streamed, and they were one of the most hyped up teams
yeah,
in Europe at that time, and you couldn't see their POV. There were I don't think there should be a world where a grand final of a challengers tournament, no matter what challenger tournament it is, there should not be a world where no one can watch it. which is
Yeah.
why I've literally taken it upon myself to literally go and stream them.
Yeah.
And it may not be the most professional thing you've ever seen in your life, but it's a POV, and you kind of get a bit of banter from me on the side of it. But the
Yeah.
fact that it's got to that point where no one will stream, no one will like throw it up for just one game, like the finals, for example. It's mind blowing. That whole knockout stage of the tournament, from the double elim side, where it's T8 onwards, that should 100% have a stream for it, regardless of whether the CDL is on, regardless of whether there's a tournament on for the pros. You should 100% have a platform that's consistently pumping out challenges, but the challenges kind of just do the elite and leave it at the elite. It's the same thing for NA as well. Like, they don't do it for the cups either, which is
Yeah.
what it blows my mind that you look at the NA pool right now of players that are in challengers. It is mind blowing. Half the top teams are pro players who are playing in challengers,
Yeah.
and half of them don't even stream.
Even if you look at just someone that comes to my mind, someone like Sensor,
Yeah.
who is not the best
Yep.
player by all means, not in the best teams. He streams, and when he streams on like a Saturday or whatever,
Yep.
literally he sits on like 1 point something K viewers.
It's
Parasite sits on
Parasite.
like
Yep.
2K viewers. It's clearly there. I don't understand that. It boggles my mind. Like you say, it's not like it's a burden. You know,
Yep.
you just put it on your other screen or whatever, and people have got that capacity now to stream. So there's really no excuses. But on the same hand as that, obviously it benefits you that there is less streamers streaming, because obviously the more viewers will
Yep.
come to watch people like yourself,
Yeah. 100%.
and the other people within there. And then, like you say, even if you don't make it through to, like the finals and that, and you got the opportunity to just to kind of cast over it and have that record of it, it's better than nothing. So people
Yep.
will be in there, people will be supporting, and that gets you followers. And then even like when you go for a normal stream, those people will come back
Yeah.
because
Exactly. I
you
mean,
know,
you just look at how it. Again, I don't want to just talk about like my statistics or whatever, but since getting through to the latter stages of the tournament and being one of the only people to stream the latter stages of a tournament, like, it's blown up for me.
mm,
And it is, again, it is just another one of them where I can't believe more people are not doing it.
yeah,
And I don't know, maybe people will see me and Luke and Whalers or whatnot and see what there is out there. Like you said, there's Parasite on 2K viewers. And there's Censor. Obviously, he's a personality. He's been a personality for years, but he's also got that viewership, and he rarely gets to the latter stages of the tournament.
yeah,
It's just confusing to me. And
definite opportunity.
yeah, and people will say to me, "Oh, but you can't really be an entertainer on the stream." But people come, like, they come for that. You know what I mean? There's no
Yeah,
that no one wants to come who's interested in Challengers Call of Duty, right? You are going to get more of a following by not sitting there and just streaming your POV and just having your voice through. So when you have a camera on, when you interact with your chat, your following grows, and your, I don't want to say fan base, but your community grows, right? And I have people say to me, like, you can't be an entertainer and do competitive at the same time. Like, it shouldn't work. Like, it's not. It doesn't drain you. It's not something that I consciously think, oh, if I didn't do that side to what I do, it would make me a better player, or I would have more energy to do this and that. It it is like we spoke. It's confusing to me how people have this just sort of this perception, the perception of how you have to act when you're a
yeah,
competitive player, and how your etiquette is, and the behavior of you on stream. Like, it is just this massive, I can't think of the word, but yeah, it's just something that it shouldn't be a thing. And this whole misconception, that's the word. It's a misconception of the etiquette of people that
yeah.
you have to be a competitor.
So we'll go into a bit more of sort of content side
Yep.
for the time being. So in terms of other games, is there anything else that you kind of jump into, or is there anything that you kind of play on stream, or is it all just sort of competitive based?
I mean, I'm a big fan of horror games, and the last off season that I did, I played through a bunch of them, and I'm so excited to like revisit this again, especially with a bigger platform to like have people watch me play it,
Yeah,
because back in like last year, obviously things weren't the way they were, and I can't imagine how like exciting it would be, and how it was been like elevated the experience that I could give for a horror game to a bigger audience. Because the games that I played and the playthroughs that I did, a couple of them on YouTube or whatever, and they were just like they were so fun to do, and it's nice to get away from the competitive side for a bit and just like do you,
yeah,
because you don't I don't want to say it's an obligation, but when you compete, obviously you want to do the best you can, and you're playing to win. So you're obviously not going to do these things on the side. You're going to put all your time and effort into competing and into the game time, so you can do your best when it comes to these tournaments. But yeah, it's a nice like side thing to have, to be able to play games like that and like produce content on it, especially.
yeah. So we'll go on to the org that you're currently in. So you're currently in Obtained.
Yes,
Um, was that something that, as a team, you guys thought would be best fit? Because they obviously had a previous team, didn't they, that
yes,
were,
it did. Yeah.
successful within challenges. And then they split up into different teams. So was it kind of something that was a no-brainer for you guys to just go straight in, or?
I mean, yeah, but the thing was like at the time, so we had a few other offers or whatever, but it wasn't something that we'd spoken about or that we were looking to get into. We're very fortunate that Lou and Jordan came along and approached us in the way that they did, and that it's the common thing with orgs that you see Obtain backed out for a bit. You see S&G also backed out of it. You see Rams have ceased operations. There's a lot of orgs that don't want to be in COD or now lack the facilities to be in COD. Um, and that's all through the lack of exposure that there still is, even though there's this elite series. Apart from that, there's no other exposure. There's no benefit of having an organization right now, because it's all online, and there's no,
Mhm.
like I said, there's no benefit for an organization to invest their time unless they get something out of it. Now, with the platform that I currently have, that was something that they were interested in, because they saw when we came third or whatever, the viewership that I had, because no one else is doing it. Um, and it's the same for the elite and stuff. So for them to gain the exposure off of that, that's a benefit to them. And the
Yeah,
thing is, with people trying to find organizations right now, and for their like criteria to have from the organization, they're not going to want to give that to people who don't offer them much apart from placings and the competitive side of it, when they're looking to grow as well as invest in you. So it's just a bit. So that's why. So that's one of the reasons. Anyway, it's because we placed well as having my platform, that they were interested in us.
yeah,
But I can guarantee that they wouldn't have probably been looking to get into it because of the lack of exposure that they had. I don't know, with their old team, for example. I mean, they barely got anything out of their other team apart from good placings. Um,
yeah.
But that
I
again, that
mean,
was another team that should have streamed, because they were one of the most hyped up teams again in EU. They won one of the cups. They were looking really good going into the elite, and then obviously Harry left. But it's another team that again has that opportunity to like blow up, but again don't, because they either can't be asked or whatever it is, whatever reasons they have.
yeah, I mean it's a tough position to be in, but like yourselves, you've been Obtained now. You're
Yep.
quite settled within that org. Obtained's a brilliant org to be
Yep.
in. I've known the people from Obtain for a while now, so yeah, they're brilliant, really brilliant org. Which will look after you, and like
Yep.
I say, you're giving them that exposure that they need, and so they're able to obviously help you as well.
Yep.
So I think you've kind of picked a very good org to go under there. So let's go to your first gaming experience. So we'll go right back. So we talked about obviously when you just finished like your college and your
Yeah,
football, and that's where you got into COD.
yeah.
But was there games before that that you were involved in? Have you always had that sort of love for gaming?
Oh, 100%. I played FIFA since like 2006, I think.
Mm,
I used to love FIFA. I used to love playing FIFA all the time. And I played more that game more so than I played COD. Literally throughout my whole childhood. Like FIFA came first, Ultimate Team and stuff like that always came first. And I don't know, just the later titles of FIFA have just been very mind numbing, very just yeah, very, very bad. And
yeah,
a lot of people will say that FIFA's died off like a lot in the past few years and whatnot, which is kind of where I went into COD and spent more time on that game and just playing like game battles and stuff. But even before then, I would probably say literally on the literally PlayStation 2, no, PS1 Doom and PlayStation 2 Spyro and Rayman are the first like actual experiences of games that I would have played 100%.
yeah.
I remember them like they were yesterday.
Yeah, some good old school games back in the day, playing like Need for Speed Underground 2 and
Yep.
stuff like that. Like, I think we were quite spoiled in terms of the games that were out because
100%.
you could sit there and play three different games in one day and it'll just be, you know,
100%.
you could never get bored of them.
There was so much variety. And like all these single player games that you wouldn't even think of playing now. And like they were so like prominent in our childhood and stuff. Like I remember playing like Rainbow Six Vegas and stuff like that when I was like 10, 11, and like that with my dad and stuff. That sticks to my brain as well. Ratchet
Yeah.
and Clank, stuff like that. Like those
Yeah,
games were so good. Those games were
yeah,
so good.
what a game, Ratchet and Clank is.
What a game.
What a game. Um, okay, so in terms of Call of Duty, so what Call of Duty did you start to pick that up?
The sort of the so like I said, coming to the end of my college was probably like February, March time, and that's when I found World War Two and just started just playing it on my own and whatnot. Like just to, I don't know, I was just interested because I'd watched it from like the year before, like IW and Black Ops 3 and stuff like that, and then I was like, oh, I kind of want to play this, and I started playing it, and I found people to play with through GB. So I started off playing 1v1s, then 2v2s, and then I found another pair, and then we played 4v4s. And that was when it kind of got into the whole respawn thing and playing
Yeah,
in leagues and kind of getting in. I didn't think about it at the time, but like getting your name out there and just playing whatever you could play. And just, I don't know, I kind of picked it up quick, I guess. Because, like I said, I'd never thought about competitive COD or played COD to play it serious
yeah,
before then. So I literally started 2, 3 years ago playing COD like 8 hours a day plus.
yeah. I
And
mean, I mean that alone, pretty impressive that you've got to the stage where you're at now. Competing in all these elite series and that kind of thing,
yeah,
just based on, sort of a couple of years experience in terms of really pushing to, get better and practicing and that kind of thing.
I mean, the thing was, I wouldn't even say that I took it serious, like that serious in World War II, because I obviously I had my college commitments and my football commitments, which kind
Yeah,
of halted any sort of progress that I would have made. Um, so I scrimmed like once or twice a week, played in these league games like late at night after I did my college stuff. It was Black Ops 4, like I said, in that gap year between uni and college. That was when I like put in 10 plus hours a day,
yeah,
like shooting bots, playing pubs, going to these events, scrimming every day for 8 or 9 months. And now that I think about it, like I've put so much time into COD over these past 2 or 3 years. It's actually like mental to think about. Because if Black Ops 4, my pattern was so bad that I used to go to sleep at about 6, 7 a.m., wake up at like 3 p.m., ready to scrim at 4. Like it was bad. And
yeah. That
I think that's part of why sort of it's kind of part of why my mentor and my gaming experience right now is better because of my pattern and my lifestyle right now. Obviously, it's tough with COVID and whatnot, but being in a pattern where you wake up at 3 p.m. is not good for a gamer or
No.
for anyone. But like now, I wake up at literally 8:30, get on stream, play COD throughout the whole day, rather than playing it through the night into the morning. It's not good for you. And at the time, you don't really care about it. But
No.
like when you get a bit older, you realize, yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. Like it's probably not good for me. And it's
Yeah, I
like,
think there's a lot of gamers that you see that are like all over, Twitter especially, like, all over Twitter at like 4 in the morning, and you're thinking that it just ain't healthy.
it's
And I
not good
think,
for you.
like you say, especially like mentally, like if you've got yourself a pattern where you are literally playing through the night, it is no good for you at all.
Yeah,
Like,
I was going to sleep.
um,
I was going to sleep when it was daylight, waking up when it was daylight. Like it's just not
yeah.
good for you. And when you realize that, you're like, yeah, I probably should change this.
And I think even like little things like you're waking up in the morning and let's say for example you've got half hour spare before you jump on stream,
Yeah,
you can do what you want. If you want to go for a walk and nip up the shop or whatever,
yeah,
that's something you can do. You're doing it at 4 o'clock in the morning. You haven't got that sort of sense of freedom.
yeah.
You
It's
feel like you are literally like glued to play, and that's it. Like you're there to play COD, and that's sort of that.
yeah,
And then if you don't have a game, it's like right, I'm going off then.
yeah,
And like it's all just a bit, yeah.
yeah. And the
It's
benefit of having this space as well that I've got behind me is I used to do it all in my room, or literally, I literally used to live in my room all day, every day, and come out for food and drink. That's all I used to do.
yeah,
And it drains you. Like it is a draining experience living in your room 24 hours a day.
yeah,
And like you said, having the time now where I can do whatever I want to before the stream, because I do have like an hour, half an hour before I go to stream. Like I have that switch where I come in here and it's all this. But then when I
yeah.
come out of it, it's off and I can just be me. Like I don't have to be anything or have an obligation to do anything. Like I've done the day, I've finished what I was doing. Now I can just chill and relax and take my mind off of things, I guess.
Yeah, and that means you can properly switch off and you can
Yeah.
actually relax, and you get that just brings up all sorts of benefits, better sleeping, all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like,
my
it's
sleep. Oh my god. When I first when I first tried starting to sort out all this, like the lifestyle changes and stuff, I was not sleeping properly, and it was horrendous. I'd wake up 3 times during the night. I'd wake up at 7 a.m., go through the whole day to about 2 a.m., and then go to sleep again. It was horrendous. And anyone who has the pattern of a gamer needs to get out of it, because it's not beneficial, and it drains you, and the energy that you want to have for gaming and stuff, you feel like you're in a slump the whole time, and it's like I said, it's just not good for you being in that sort of lifestyle and being in that environment.
and like you just said it yourself, you go in that sort of slump where you are playing through the night and you are literally constantly tired, or
Yeah,
you've always got some sort of issue. You're like, oh no, I'm not playing. My eyes are hurting or something stupid. Like, but you play through the day, you feel a lot more refreshed, you're a lot more up for it. So you're gonna have better better
100%,
productivity and all that
100%.
kind of thing. So I don't understand why people would still, be stuck in that cycle.
Yeah, I'd 100% not be able to do what I currently do if I was starting my stream at 9 p.m.
Yeah,
100%. It would not be an avenue for me to be streaming and competing at the same time if I am waking up half an hour before I start practice of a day. It's just not good for you. And it's thing of events as well. Like events, they start in the morning. So
yeah.
all
So you
all these
need to
all these
have,
people who go to
yeah,
events are mostly people that do what I told you, where they literally wake up an hour before their practice. They're eating half an hour before their practice. It's not good for you. It's really
oh,
not good for you to be in the pattern of being at home and then going to somewhere else and being in a completely different mindset and being in a completely different environment where you're having to change your whole lifestyle for this event. It's just not. It wouldn't be good for you. Obviously, we haven't had events since I started doing this, but when I went to America and London and Paris and whatnot, you could just tell like it's a shock to your body that you've all of a sudden you're changing it all
Yeah,
as soon as you get to somewhere.
definitely. So we'll dive into sort of the competitive side of things now. So just want to kind of get an insight on how sort of like your day to day goes with your competitive team. Is it the
Yep.
same as what we see from the pro teams where you'll go off stream and you'll do your VODs and that kind of thing? Is it something that you just you kind of just talk about it briefly and then that's it, or is it something you go properly into detail? Or
So obviously, with us being a new team, it's a bit different because when we formed, it was 2 days before the elite qualifiers. You qualify for the elite, and then literally 2 days later, you're into your games, and then the week after, you're into your games, and then the week after that, and then on the weekends as well. In between that, you have your cups, and then you have your playoff bracket or knockout bracket, whatever you were part of.
yeah,
It was all just so congested for us. But in terms of how I would like to see it in the future and what I've done in the past, basically with our old team when it was Niall and Ewan and Disarray, sorry. Um, yeah, we'd get on an hour and a half before, watch over, I don't know, like 2 or 3 maps that you want to improve on, like see what everyone's doing, like what the correct thing is to do, what the not correct thing is to do, like what are the consequences of certain things you do and stuff like that. And yeah, then your practice literally starts from 4 p.m. And depending on how much you do in a day, because some people play 3 sets of respawn and then you play your S&D afterwards. So your evening could either end about 8 or 9, or it could end 10 to 11. You could start your day at 2. It's a lot. It's very team dependent to how your days function with practice anyway. But yeah, my day usually consists of getting off the stream at about 3, and then going to get food, and then scrimming at 4 all the way through to about 9, 10. And then by that time, I've literally been in this chair for 12 hours. So I'm like, I need to get off. Like, I am
yeah,
absolutely drained there. And people take the mick of it, saying I've got a granddad pattern, but at the same time, I'd like to think that it's for the benefit of me, and it's 100% better than what I was doing before. And it's also opened up this whole new thing of a morning stream going into the afternoon. And like today's, for example, yesterday and today, I've spent 2 or 3 more hours with my community, because on a Saturday or Sunday it's usually a tournament.
yeah.
So it's kind of just like, I don't know, you pull and pull. So obviously I enjoy all the time that we put into competitive and the practice side of it and getting better and going over everything. But at the same time, you need like an escape, because you can't, if you invest all your time into competitive and your mind doesn't switch off from it, you then negatively impacting your performance, because not everyone's not a robot. Like, you can't just literally be a competitive player and put 18 hours a day into this game, because it will drive you literally insane. So
Yeah.
to have like a scrim block where you practice with your team, and then before or after you can go away and do whatever you want, I think is sort of a healthy thing to have.
No, and like you say, I think that when you have that passion to compete and that kind of thing, but now you've built yourself a successful community, on Twitch and that kind of thing, you have the opportunity now to jump on, in the mornings and just play a couple of games and just interact a lot more.
Exactly.
So it's you're taking the opportunity to actually go back and thank those
Mhm.
people that are showing you support through the scrims, where it's not something that you're able to sit there and keep thanking followers, subs,
Yep.
that kind of thing. Um, so we'll go into the next question for you. So the best content moment that you've had to date. Now we'll kind of rear this off into competitive as well. So if you
Yep.
wanted to bring anything from competitive, you can.
Content moment. I mean, in terms of like things just happening on stream, like I've never been overwhelmed with emotion pretty much in my life in terms of anything competitive that I've done, whether that be sport or in esport. But when we beat, I don't know, when we beat Rams on like in one of the cups, and I got like 140 gifted subs just in about 10, 15 minutes. I literally didn't know what to do. I just started tearing up. I literally had no idea what to do. I sat there in disbelief because at this point it was like when I just started streaming stuff and streaming
Yeah.
tournaments and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, in terms of that, yeah, like I had no idea what to do. I was sat there in disbelief, and even today and yesterday, like these moments just keep happening where there's like this insane growth, and like I've been hosting sub eights recently, and they've been incredible moments as well. Like they've been producing like mad moments, and like when I've been commentating over them and casting over them, it's been incredibly just emotional, and like these moments are just mental, and like they're genuine as well. And it's just having like sharing that experience with people who support you as well is probably the greatest bit to doing content and to doing streaming and producing stuff, because like you share it with the people that support you, and like they give you feedback and they enjoy that moment with you.
Yeah.
And I never thought that anything like this would get to this point, but now that it has, every day something like seems to crop up that's like, oh my god, this is like the best day I've ever had on stream, on Twitch. Not even like monetary or statistically or something like that. I literally, because there was a time today where something was happening or whatever, and there was just a bunch of my emotes just getting flooded through my chat over and over and over again. And it was just like a moment I sat there like, this is actually happening. Like something like this
Yeah.
is actually happening. Like I've grown a community with the help of other people, of course, that have made this possible. And it's just stuff like that that it literally makes your day, that you get to have a positive impact on people like that and people who support you in that sense, I guess. I
Yeah.
mean,
So from sort of like your success that you've recently seen, has it like sort of sunk in yet, or is it still
no,
something that's kind of just like you say, every stream's just like mind blowing and
no. I've had to apologize today for a post that I did on Twitter, because it's literally seems to be that every day something happens, and I don't know what to do. I'm sat there in disbelief, because obviously I stream my moments through Modern Warfare as well and things like that, and like my tournaments, but I wasn't like streaming like I
yeah,
have now. Like I have a schedule now. I've just started TikTok. I've started another platform to hopefully grow on. It was nothing like that, and tomorrow is the 100th day that I've streamed consistently, and to be in the position that I'm in and to have an influence over the people that I do is completely past me. Like I can't grasp it yet.
yeah,
And this isn't me trying to say like I'm this big massive person, 'cause I'm really not. I'm really still growing and trying my best to help my community out and grow it at the same time. But to have the community that I have right now, and to I get DMs from people and whatnot saying that I make their day and that I help them out and stuff. And to have, like I said, to have that influence on someone, it's like so heartwarming and just surreal to me,
yeah.
that over such like over like a 3 month period, I've managed to have that much of an impact on Twitch and in the competitive scene. It is something that I probably won't get to grasp for a while, but
And I
like
think
I
that's
think hopefully
kind
I'll
of
get better at it.
the joy of streaming. Like you say, you can press as soon as you press live, anything could happen.
Yeah,
Like you could literally anything could happen.
yeah,
Like one minute you could be sat on 4 viewers, the next minute you're sat on 6,000. You,
yeah,
you 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 literally don't know what, and I think that's the whole point of, like you say, the enjoyment factor from yourself. Jumping on and you've been able to actually do things with your community now and give back to them.
yeah,
It is a good feeling. And like you say, it does drive you further to continue succeeding. And
yeah.
clearly, it's worked for you. Especially even now, your morning streams would are a lot more successful than prior.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
but you have to have, in my opinion, you have to have some sort of personality where you're retaining those viewers.
Yeah.
So clearly that's something that you've picked up quickly, and you've, been able to and actually entertain in those hours. And like I say, when you're scrimming and that, those people do come in, but understand that it's not going to be,
The
you're
same
talking to the
experience.
chat and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I think that's kind of a hard balance to grasp in terms of being an entertainer at the start of and doing all those, like you say, doing the sub eights and that kind of thing, and involving yourself with the chat, and then also then competing. It's hard to kind of, when you're in that rhythm of reading your chat and interacting as much as you do, it must be hard to switch off. So I've got to commend you on that.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
is it is kind of difficult, I guess, but in the same instance, like I don't feel like it's a push or it's something that I have to change to be. I'm just kind of me,
yeah,
and whether that's in a competitive setting or whether that's in an entertainment setting, like this is what I said to you earlier. People just expect competitive people to just be these robots on stream that are all competitive,
yeah,
focus. Which I get that for. Um, I get that for when you're in a tournament or whatever, which is what I try and do. Like I try and switch off from the screen on my left, and I try and just focus solely on the tournament that we're in, who I'm there with, and trying to get the best out of each other and the best performance. But in between those moments, people just expect you to, like I said, just to be this bit of wood that just sits there and just can't entertain the fact that there's people watching you and there's people here to support you, and the fact that they people expect you to just not give a monkeys about anyone on the stream is crazy. It like I said, it blows my mind. It completely blows my mind. And the fact that I'm now able to give back to the people that have supported me from whether that was a week ago or 3 months ago when I started streaming, like some people still are from that time. It's great for me. I enjoy it so much.
okay. Well, we'll jump into sort of the next section now. So we'll go on to the best people that you've worked with within the scene. Um, so again, that's we can go from anyone, within competitive
Yep.
or within your streaming side of things as well.
Yep. So like competitive wise, actually playing with someone, it's got to be Harry because I mean you look. I don't know if you watched him last weekend or sorry midweek on Thursday, but the guy's absolutely insane at this game and has been insane at COD for a while. Even when I played with him in MW, um, he was incredible then, and he went on to win pretty much the rest of the year when it went to COVID, when he went to play with War, which at
Yeah,
the time was like Stevo and Dave and that. And then he's come back this year, one with different people, then gone back to similar faces, and has now continued to win. I think any CDL franchise who's looking into EU COD has to look at three faces, and one of the faces is Harry, and it has to be. So from a competitive side, it would have to be that. But in terms of content, the best person that I've worked with, I know, like I wouldn't say best, but like one of the people that I've gotten along with most. And I don't know if you would have watched him or not. It was KK the Burger. Kieran is by far one of the funniest blokes and one of the nicest blokes that I've ever met on Twitch as of now. And he deserves the whole platform that he's grown. And over the Christmas period, his channel was booming, and he deserved all of it. But yeah, in terms of content, 100% Kieran or someone like that. But yeah, in terms of competitive, Harry's nuts. Harry will 100% be on a CDL franchise soon when the COVID related things kind of drift away and everyone's got their COVID vaccines and blah blah blah. When EU can get over to NA finally, that is when I think Harry will get in the CDL, and I'm
yeah.
very
I
happy
think,
about it
like you
to play with him.
say, I think there's a few that you definitely look at, but I think, like you say, the restrictions that COVID, giving at the moment, is obviously very difficult for a lot of the EU scene to progress forward.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, like you say, when COVID isn't an issue anymore, especially with travel, I do think that some of the EU players will definitely be looked at.
I mean, you look at
Um,
Trey. Like Trey's been stuck here now for months,
yeah,
and you look at uh, Afro. He's signed to London, but he can't do anything. He's stuck over here. Luckily, Paco Hydra has managed to get over and get a visa and stuff like that, and he's now in the NA Challenger scene, and he's now a sub for New York. I feel like as soon as COVID goes, you'll see a lot more faces. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll see a lot more faces in EU because a lot of people are starting to see that EU have got this talent like Hydra, like Afro, and people of that nature. So I think that once COVID goes, you'll start to see more integration of like imports and stuff like that.
is Hydra French or is he Spanish?
Hydra is French. Yeah.
French, yeah. Because I know that obviously, I think that the rules are slightly different in terms of travel from sort of Britain and the
Yeah.
UK in terms of Europe. Um, so obviously that's benefited him, but that doesn't take away that he's
Oh yeah,
unbelievable.
100%. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the different travel restrictions are, but I mean, as soon as Paco got recognition from Clayster, I think that was the moment where like
Yeah,
it was probably he was going to get into the league.
yeah. And I mean, he's gone over to NA Challengers, like you're saying, he's playing as a sub, but he's obviously playing in the academy team, and he's absolutely dominating
Yeah.
all of the NAC
Hmm.
pretty much single-handedly. He's an absolute machine.
Yep.
And this is coming from someone who doesn't like. I don't really follow NA Challengers as much,
Neither.
but I know that he's like just been ripping
Yep.
it up. And any time that I do turn in tune in, he's been by far the best player on the map. So we'll go into the last question.
Yep.
So it's kind of slightly the same as the one before, but we're going from the other side of things now. So if there was one person that you could work with, again, we'll do it based on one from competitive and
Yeah.
then obviously one from streaming.
Yep.
Who would they be and why?
Okay, so from content side and from streaming side, there is no one person that I would like to work with other than Tyler One. I am he makes me literally in tears every time I watch that bloke. He is by far the funniest person I've ever watched on stream. And yeah, 100% it has to be Tyler One because I don't really watch Twitch apart from to go say hi to a few people, but I can watch that guy and laugh at that guy for way too long than I'm should be comfortable with. Um, and in terms of competing, oh my god, this is a good question. I would probably say Steve Vortex,
Mm,
purely because every team he seems to be on within Europe seems to win.
yeah,
And the players that he seems to pick up get a lot better with him. So, like Harry, for example, he joined last year when he left my team, and he was already good at the time, like to get picked up by them. Um, but when you've got Stevo tweeting how much of a mistake it was to drop him, like that's when you know, like he just knows the talent pool, who to pick of, how COD works, and yeah, I'd probably like to work with Stevo in the end.
yeah. I think someone like Vortex, to have the experience that he has within challenges,
Yeah,
like you say, I think he can turn a lot of these very good amateurs into like unbelievable players.
yeah,
Because like you say, he's been in it so many years. He knows the talent pool. He knows the teams that he's playing against, that kind of thing. And like you say, he does change a hell of a lot of people, um, and their sort of abilities. Um, but hey, bro, beat him in the next challenges.
yeah.
You never know.
I mean, it's the same thing with Nasty as well. Last year, like they picked up Nasty for one event and they won Paris, and then Nasty got onto London
Yeah,
literally straight after. Like he just seems to know what to do on the map. So
yeah.
yeah,
And like you say, I
him as
think
go.
recognition wise, he's very good. He does have a lot of contacts, so a lot of people know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you say, if someone performs under that roster, people see Vortex and say, yeah, okay, we know who Vortex is. These must be good players. And like you say, actually start paying a bit more attention to these youngsters that are just ridiculous on the map. And then, like you say, they're actually getting, signed. And like after last year, he was with War, wasn't he?
Yep, he was with War. Yeah,
Towards the end,
again, another one.
where where he just turned into an absolute animal, and then obviously that's benefited him this year.
Yeah,
Um, and that's one player I'd like to see actually sort his visa out, and I'd like to see what
he can
what he
do.
could
Yeah,
do over in America, because I think he'd be, I think he'd tear it up, to be honest.
I mean
But
there
yeah,
are
that's
there are a
another.
lot of people in EU like that, and it's that
Yeah,
argument again that people just completely scrutinize EU and say that it's the worst region. But if you actually look at amateur cards and over the past like international events or whatever, EU has been the top heavy region. Like to the three top teams in the beginning of MW last year were EU and APAC.
yeah,
Like, yeah, EU is very overlooked, and I think people are starting to see that now.
yeah. But hopefully, obviously, when like we've spoke about, COVID and that sort of thing. Hopefully, when that's blown over, you can start looking at, you know, actually getting back to events.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, like you say, that's where you can really start to push on in terms of getting onto these big teams, because they can actually see you, performing in person.
and the online
And
COD as a whole is just,
yeah,
like, regardless of connection or whatever else of gameplay, having a tournament that doesn't really mean much every weekend that you'd have to try and get yourself up for, it is draining. And
yeah,
having these elite series is a great incentive for amateurs because they get more money, get more exposure, whatever, because it actually gets the exposure that it's meant to compared to the other tournaments. But it's just there's so much going on right now. Like I said to you, in the three week period that my team, that me, P, Genesis, and Brezzy had been together for, we played an elite qualifier. We then played 2 games on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, then had a cup on the Saturday and Sunday, then went back into games on the Tuesday and Wednesday to then play another knockout bracket the next week after that. And it's just like there's so much going on right now that having to get yourself up for something that most people are competing from their room. The COD needs events to really develop the league and things of that nature. You can't just have online COD. Otherwise, I mean, they sat the worrying thing about getting events back is that they're going to be less frequent because they've just sacked people that were dealing with actual LAN events at Activision and Blizzard, which is the most worrying part of it all because they don't facilitate online Call of Duty the way they should do. You look at esports like CS, they play on 144 tick servers or whatever they are, 240, 140, whatever, even 60. We play on 20 hertz servers where we connect to each other. We're not even on
yeah,
a dedicated server for competitive. We're on a connection from player to player. And it's mind-boggling to think they're throwing all this money into challenges and things like this, but not. And even Pro COD, they have about 6 servers that they play from. That they can ban 2 of them anyway. So it's just like, yeah, they don't facilitate online COD, and now they've taken away people that facilitated offline COD. So I don't know what the future of COD's going to look like. To be honest, it's going to probably be a shambles as it usually is, but we'll have to wait and see.
yeah. I mean, like you say, it's for myself, I'm not a competitor. It's not something that I'd ever jump into, because I've not got that sort of ability. But trying to get yourself up for a game, for example, when you're at a LAN event, I can imagine, you go for breakfast with all your team,
Yep.
you're in that zone, you're all bigging each other up, you're all getting yourself. It's same as any sport, isn't it? Really,
Yep.
you know,
Literally.
football match, you're all in the team, you're getting yourself ready, you're getting yourself, up for the game. You do that from your room. It's just,
It's so much more
yeah,
difficult, and I certainly felt that in the latter stages of Modern Warfare, where my motivation was really sapped, and we're playing the end of the year. Like this is where the biggest amounts of money are coming, and now there's these big chunks of money throughout the whole year. It's just, yeah, you have to, and that's an advantage that probably people have some over other people, because some people are just treating it, oh, it's another game, blah blah blah, but
Yeah.
some people are still able to get themselves up and have that passion to sort of just get about it and have that motivation, have that energy to compete from your room every day, regardless of whether it's a scrim or if it's an event.
I think even like you mentioned with the Elite Series, even having stuff like that where there's monetary value on the line, I think, and everyone's money motivated. Come on, like it's standard in it. So if there's money there,
Yeah.
people are gonna be jumping at it at every opportunity that they can.
Yep. And that's you see complacency come in. Like you see all these. Obviously, it's game dependent as well, because this game has caused way too many upsets to even think about. But you can guarantee that people have that slump of just, oh, it's another tournament, and this is why they lose to some of these teams that they see that they shouldn't be losing to, because they just think of it as another tournament. Oh, it's just another game, blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, the monetary value should get people up for it. But I know for a fact that some people just aren't able to do that.
No. And that's where the energy drinks come in, and the Adderall and whatever all the youngsters
I
take.
don't know anything about that. I don't know who's doing that, but yeah. I mean, there are like people like Maniac who used to compete in like Halo and stuff. Like, obviously, it's more attainable over there, but yeah, there's just so much.
It's a crazy thing that people using those sorts of things to get themselves up, and it's obviously quite sad at the same time. Obviously, people get the addiction and whatnot. But we won't dive too much into that because we don't want to end on such a downer. But I appreciate you coming on, bro. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think you're kind of the only person that I've had on so far that has been an actual competitor within Call of Duty Cold War. The majority of the people that I get on are normally sort of Warzone based. So it's definitely been interesting to sort of see your day to day in terms of your scrims.
But it's a slog.
But yeah, no, I really appreciate you coming on.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate everyone that's obviously come and shown support as well.